I'm sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
according to this, the Hangout is live, but we have 0 viewers yet, so we can, I guess, wait till people show up. I don't know.
Do I need to wander over to Twitter and tell my people that I'm here?
If you want to, I told my followers as well.
Tweet that. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. In case anyone is watching, we're to have a few minutes delay as we get prepared.
Prepared? What's that?
I don't know. That's why I run ComfyCon.
Excellent.
Oh.
Alright, so...
I'm just tired already. Like, this takes way more out of me than I thought it would. Every year I do this is the 3rd year I've done ComfyCon, and every year I forget how exhausted I am by the end of it.
Dude, you need to get some help doing ComfyCon because it's not comfy for you. It needs to be comfy for you too, man.
Danielle had a lot of plans the weekend, and I wasn't going to cancel your plans with your family. I'm all you need. Dude, that's.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh crap! I lost the one. Are you back? All right. Well, I guess we should start, even though it says we have no viewers. Oh, we have 3 viewers now. Well, that's all that matters. Hello, everyone. Welcome to ComfyCon 2014. Before we drew comics, this panel we will be discussing our careers before we got into the high-paying, action-packed field of webcomics.
Oh yeah.
With us we have the gentleman with the studious glasses. Would be Howard Taylor. He does the comic Schlock Mercenary. The gentleman on the guitar would be Jeff Zagale. You drew Kindergoth a long time ago, right?
I did Kindergoth here. I actually have a stack of the comics that I drew to show as part of my stack. So.
Cool.
But I'll be your Eddie Van Halen today.
Don't get us in trouble with YouTube or copyright, man. Don't get us in trouble.
I'm performing as a cover musician. I'm a member of BMI. It'll get taken care of. Don't worry.
Okay, fair enough. Jeff Zagale also currently is the artist on a comic called Not Invented Here, which is written by Bill Barnes. And I am Randy Mellon. I draw somethingpositive.net. So, who wants to start? Who wants to tell us about their amazing life before they got into webcomics?
Okay, mine. I'll go ahead and start. Because mine is probably the most boring, but was very lucrative. I worked at Nobel at a software company making email software. My job was at the very end. My job there was as the product manager for Nobel GroupWise, which was a suite of corporate communications tools that grossed around $100 million a year for the company. And no, I was not paid a percentage or a royalty, but I was pulling down like $800 past the mark where I could actually say I had a 6-figure salary. And there were many, many nights when I would just go to bed and literally cry myself to sleep knowing that when I woke up in the morning I was going to have to go back to work.
Oh,
yeah, that's not fun.
That's heartbreaking, Howard. I've never heard the cry part. That makes me extra sad.
Yeah, it was really difficult. Of course, back then I had no idea that I had an actual diagnosable mental illness. I just muscled through the crap and spent a lot of time miserable. And when in 2004 I quit the day job, there was I remember her online handle was Hawk Lady, and I saw her at a convention just before I quit, and I saw her at a convention just after I quit. And she came up to me at that second convention and said, "Oh my gosh, you look like a different person. You look so happy." And I thought, what? I don't feel all that different, really? Seriously? She goes, "Oh yes, it's all over your face." And that's when I realized, oh, I guess I really did need to quit because I had no idea how miserable I was. And I think it took about 6 months before I figured out that that I had quit in order to save my life and my family and of course, save the world by giving them schlock mercenary.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Jeff, what were you doing?
Oh gosh, I've done a million things. I did not have like a career path like Howard did. I knew I wanted to be a rock star when I was like 14, and so I worked really hard. I worked really hard at it. I played guitar, 6 to 10 hours a day sometimes, and I spent my late teens through my early 30s trying to be a rock star. I worked a ton of just regular old jobs, nothing fancy. I worked in a record shop, and I worked I was a cashier at a grocery store. And let's see what I do after that. Then I drove deliveries of blueprints and Xerox copies around the New York, New Jersey tri-state area that was about 9 years. That was fun. I liked that because it was real easy. Obviously, all I had to do was like drive around and be places. And the bands that we were delivering in had stereos, so I would just sing all day and practice. And I had enough guitars that I could keep one in the van that I used for work. In the work van, I had the guitar. So anytime I had 20 minutes, I was either napping or I was practicing. And just to make it clear, though, where did it go? Of course, I put the evidence somewhere far away. I started out doing art. I was always a kid that was into art. I've been published in Child Life magazine when I was 8. I started. The only thing art-wise that I started doing before comics was spaceships, and now they sometimes pay me to do that. So here's comics and cartoons, and here's a cartoon with spaceships in it, Captain Cosmo, and I did a lot of this stuff. And the very first time I sat down on a Macintosh, I drew Eddie Van Halen.
Of course,
yeah.
Required by law.
Of course. So yeah, that's my first digital art. So I'm an OG Macintosh digital artist. Do I have anything else in here that's interesting? No. I kept drawing while I was playing guitar. I never stopped doing that. But I decided at some point, I'm just gonna like go after the rock and roll thing and see if it works. And it wound up actually, I got signed to a major label record deal, but the timing was crap. I got signed as a hairband guy months before Nirvana came out.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. And even I mean, you can figure out what happened, but I'll lay it out for you. We got signed to RCA, and we were real happy with what I was doing. And they said, okay, we want you to go write some more songs. Come back in a few months with some more songs. So 3 months later, I came back with a stack of new tunes. We played them for the A&R guy. Like, it's me and my manager and the A&R guy sitting in his office, and he's listening to him. And he's like, yeah, this is good. I like this stuff, but we got to do something a little different now. And he proceeded to lay down on the desk in front of him vinyl copies of Nevermind and Bad Motorfinger and Alice in Chains' Dirt and Stone Temple Pilots' Core. He's like, yeah, this is what we got to do now. So cut your hair, grow some facial hair, change all your songs to sound like this, dump your girlfriend, change your clothes, do everything. I literally got that speech with witnesses, so I can, if we need backup, I can do it.
There was actually an interview with the band Firehouse, I guess, like the first time they ever heard Nevermind.
Yep.
And they're like, this is never go anywhere. A week later, they're gone.
Right. Yeah, no, everybody lost their gig in the 6 or 9 month period after Nevermind came out. Like, everybody who was doing hair bands got dumped from their label.
Oh. Yeah.
I was like the last band that got signed out of Jersey before us was Trickster, and we know those guys. They got signed. They went out on tour. They did all kinds of stuff. They can still do gigs and stuff now. Like, they're actually doing, they're playing stuff. 20 years later now. you know, I got signed after them, but didn't get a record out before everything fell apart. So nobody ever heard about my stuff. And we released it in Japan, and I did another version of it. Like, here it is. You can find it on Bandcamp, steel2.bandcamp.com, if you want to listen to the rock and roll that I did. And then after that, I kind of flailed around for a few years. I was getting thrown out the door like that after 15 years of busting my butt. Getting in was really tough, and again, the same thing. Diagnosable mental illness was there, and I was covering up with rocking out and drinking a lot, and I didn't really start treating that until I was already working in the video game business and realizing, like, hey, I'm in the video game business and everything's going great and I'm making good money and I'm still unhappy. Why am I unhappy? So then I went to a doctor and they said, oh yeah, because your brain doesn't really care.
In those words, I assume.
I'm shortening things, but of course. So I did this comic, Mystic for Hire.
I remember Mystic for Hire. Oh wow!
Yeah, we came to ComfyCon in '98 and debuted this there. Here's the 2 issues. Like this is the paper issue. These were done in '98, '97, '98, and then I did it as a webcomic. And at the same, when we went to Comic-Con to show this, we happened to, Chris and I are big fans of ElfQuest, Wendy Pini, so we went over and walked and talked to Wendy. And Wendy's like, hey, that looks really nice. You want to draw some ElfQuest? So I said, sure. So I wound up drawing some ElfQuest. They were great, and I loved working for them. And every time this story gets published again, a check arrives. Not a big one, but a check. Yay.
Hey, money.
Money's money, yeah. And then I did Mystic for Hire as a webcomic for a while, which is how I wound up meeting all you guys.
Yep.
I think, Howard, didn't we meet at the legendary ill-fated Las Vegas Comic-Con?
Very briefly at the Extrosion in Las Vegas in 2003.
I think it's legend.
It is legend. Yeah, but that's where most of us, like, we all were, like, right around each other, like the Kindergoth people and Howard and Penny Arcade and Rick Stevens and John.
Right around each other. It's that event had 5,000 exhibitors.
Yeah, and 1,300 guests.
2,500 attendees. We had nothing to do but go talk to each other.
Right.
You know, people would see somebody walk by who didn't have an exhibitor's badge, who just had an attendee badge, and we would descend on them like jackals.
It's true, man. It's true. You know, we were right across from Penny Arcade, and Rich Stevens was right down the way, and John Rosenberg and Philip, the Goats guys were there. And we all wound up at Quark's Bar drinking, Warp Core breaches, or Borg cubes, or whatever they were serving. And that was great. And then, I did kindergarten, so kindergarten. Yeah. And now I work in video games as a concept artist because it pays a hell of a lot better than doing comics. It doesn't pay great, but but it pays better than comics, at least for me, over time.
You gotta pay bills.
Yeah. This comics has still not brought back the full salary I had when I worked for Novell. Sorry, I keep looking down because I am inking as I talk because I'm also working far more hours than I ever put in at Novell. It has not replaced my Novell salary, but I'm so very, very much happier, and we are actually able to pay me and my colorist, and I spend as much on postage each year as I made during my whole first year working tech support in 1993.
Sweet.
So.
Tech support, there's a memory. Oh, before I forget,
I killed a guy. I did.
He deserved it.
Okay. He called in because his WordPerfect Office email is how old this was. WordPerfect Office for Macintosh email wasn't working. And I did some troubleshooting, and I told him, look, I can tell based on these tests that we've run that this one network segment, there is actually a cabling problem. The devices on either end are fine, but there is a cabling problem. So you need to trace that and then get back to me, and we can figure out how to make things connect. And 2 weeks later, he hadn't called back, and so I called them to see if the incident had resolved itself. And the secretary said, "No, I'm sorry. He died a couple of weeks ago. Had a heart attack here in the office." So, yeah, I told him to go trace cables, crawl around under tables, and he's dead.
I don't know if I would put my name on anything. Well, actually, I guess it's over 10 years. Maybe you're fine. It's 21 years.
Well, no, there's no statute of limitations on the murder, guys. So.
But what about manslaughter?
Manslaughter, I don't know, actually. Yeah.
But viewers, if you have any questions, tweet them at choochoobear.com or at ComfyCon. Why did I say .com? At choochoobear or at ComfyCon? Sorry. See, for
.com an available domain, because we should go park on it right now.
Actually, a reader of mine has ComfyCon.com. I have ComfyCon.net.
ChoochooBear.com.
I know someone actually had that one for a long time too. So my day jobs kind of varied. Let's see, I worked in a video store, and my name is Randall, and it worked out just as well as you think. I was an in-store computer and printer rep for a certain large company that is known for making printers and computers. Basically, I was face-to-face tech support that had to go to Best Buy's, CompUSA's, Circuit Cities, and make sure people didn't buy things they didn't need, which stores love, and also troubleshoot things and explain to people, no, Hewlett-Packard and Packard Bell are not the same company. This is the 90s. I did once have a printer lobbed at my head.
Nice.
It was not an HP printer. It was an Epson. Because she was mad that she bought it, and she came in, and I was the first person she saw, and she heaved it as best she could. Thankfully, she did not have a lot of upper body strength. Let's see, I had 3 jobs in college. I had that job. I worked for the University of North Texas as a documentations assistant, where actually I did comics for the school's computer magazine. So, and those are still online somewhere. And I also did illustration for the online courses. I moved to Boston in '99. I worked for a nonprofit. I worked for an astronomy nonprofit as a sysadmin, which I was not. I was just told to be a web person, which I could do HTML. This is back when it was much easier. And they're like, oh, yeah, you need to learn how to build computers and handle Unix and all this other stuff, which I knew Unix, but handling a Unix server and knowing how to run your Unix account are different animals.
That's a completely different skill set.
Yeah, but I did learn it, and I also learned how to fuck with people who pissed me off with their computers. Very important. I learned how to make a dummy terminal. I then went from there to a .com, where I was the only technical person in a marketing department.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
have to work with marketers all day. Oh.
I basically drank a lot at that job. I remember having a coworker who was hired because he was the VP of Marketing's frat buddy, which right there, there's a sign, we're having a problem. Oh. And he walked up to me, and my job was I ran the marketing side. I didn't run the products. We had an online product. But I ran kind of the front page, and I did all of our print media because I knew how to do PageMaker, went back when that was the main tool. And I did all of our online banner advertising and stuff like that. And so I had created forms that people fill out, and I remember reading this, and it's all the typical information he needed. And the bottom says, please do not make this a GIF. Make it a bitmap. An animated bitmap. So I walk over to this gentleman and ask why, and his exact words were, I don't like the word GIF. GIF makes me uncomfortable. Liked bitmap more. I proceed to explain to him it is theoretically at this point in time, like in 2000, possible to do this, but it requires scripting from our engineers, and it's going to cause a lot of problems with various web browsers, etc., etc. At which point he actually says to me in front of his boss/friend, who concurs with him, Randy, who here graduated from college and who's the college dropout? I know what I'm talking about. I went to the co-owner of the company, who was also the chief technology officer, and a college dropout, and a former drill sergeant.
Whoa!
And told him what was just said to me. And it was beautiful, because it was like watching a gazelle of rage run across the plains to just punch a lion in the fucking throat. And he went over and explained to them why they're idiots and they didn't deserve to have me. I eventually lost that job. I got laid off because I wouldn't take the blame for something my boss did. And when the CEO of the company came to fire me for what my boss said I'd done, I produced all the emails that proved I had tried to warn him not to do what he'd done. So they then gave me a job where I had to redesign the front page of the site. And then the day before it was going to live, it was all done. They told me that they had changed the entire design without telling me. So I was there for 28 hours straight redoing the entire site, went home for a nap, came back to work, and had my slip waiting for me. Now, I wasn't the only one that got laid off. Half our engineers got laid off, which is great when you're a .com. You should totally lay off the guy who handles the front page that everyone sees and the people who make the product. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, I was also handling a lot of their print media, and the guy they had a contract with originally, who was doing it for like almost $10,000 a month and was behind. He wasn't doing it before I came to the company. So I started doing it, saving him all his money, seeing none of it. They had to go back to him, and he raised his prices. So they basically paid my entire year's salary to some guy in 3 months because they laid me off over petty reasons. They've been absorbed by someone else. I worked for an ambulance company after that, doing Medicaid billing for all of New England and New York and New Jersey, which it's not always bad because basically most of what I did was, oh, I've got a bill. I will submit it to that state's Medicaid. Okay, problem solved. The problem sucked was when they said we're not covering this. And I couldn't get them to cover it. Now, usually it was because, like, oh, we're not covering it because there's a paperwork error. Can you fix that? But then you have certain states where, like, in New Hampshire, and again, this is 2001, 2002. So it's been over a decade. It may have changed. Like, in Rhode Island or Massachusetts, you get pulled out of a car, like a car wreck. We don't have to prove that was an emergency. Medicaid assumes it was. In New Hampshire, every instance of an ambulance trip required medically necessary proof paperwork. And it had to be signed by either a doctor or an LRPN, a nurse practitioner. It couldn't just be a nurse. It couldn't be a physician assistant. So we would have to send this paperwork back in the field, at which point the doctor or the nurse practitioner would say, that's stupid. I shouldn't have to do that. And we're like, yeah, you shouldn't, but you do. And then almost always they would refuse because they felt they were taking a stand. New Hampshire didn't give a shit. And so instead, we start harassing this poor person who has insurance for a bill because their doctor refused to sign a paperwork, which was decided by the Congress, the state Congress. Yay! That was my day every day when I started my comic. I was also earning part of my living off of doing stage acting, which was actually a lot of fun. And right when SB became my... Huh?
That's how you know Sonny, right? Is that how you know
No,
Sonny?
I know Sonny because of my friend Clarine. They both work at Funimation.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But, so when 2004 came and I was going to quit my job to do the comic, I told my dad about it, and he offered a counteroffer of I could move to LA and spend a year there, and they would support me if I tried to get into acting, because they felt it was more viable than doing comics.
Oh.
I should point out, I actually did have a couple auditions in LA I could have gone to, but they was like, "You'll be you'll be the creepy neighbor." I'm like, yeah, I get enough of that shit already in life. I don't need to do it. So that was my life.
These residuals, dude. Come on, you know.
Yeah, I didn't think ahead. Oh, before us, actually, after the ambulance company, I worked for a data entry company. Medical. It was basically like medical reports, like drug studies, and I entered all that information in. And when I did, when SP became my job, I had done that big donor drive, so I had a year's salary. And we had a brand new boss who came in, and we found out, like, this is a 3-person department. We're doing all this stuff. We found out that our brand new boss, within his first week, was working on a contract to outsource all of our jobs to India. And so we all turned in our resignation at the same time, and he lectured me for not being a loyal employee.
Are you kidding me?
Nope, and that's the same thing that .com did. After I got laid off, they started calling me to ask me to do free favors to create banners and print media for them to save them money. And I was like, well, I'll do it for $50 an hour, which is pretty cheap, honestly.
Yeah.
And they, again, my former boss, who laid me off because he was mad at me, gave me a lecture about having loyalty to a company.
My friend Dave Brady has written. I wish I had the URL handy that I could pull up for you. Wrote a fantastic essay about the lie of company loyalty. Company loyalty does not cut both ways. The company is not loyal to the employees. I mean, they may give it lip service. They may recognize that their employees are, in fact, the most expensive things sitting at those desks, and they are incredibly valuable. But that is not the same as the religious zealotry, patriotism, jingoism, whatever that they expect you to pay to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great essay. It is a great essay, and I don't have the URL, but maybe put it in the YouTube comments or something. Well, I'm not in front of my computer right now. I'm in front of my phone. So, yeah.
That is amazing.
I was at a sales conference talking to Novell's salespeople about new product features and how to sell them to the customer. And honestly, my job there was to say, okay, this is what we built. This is the set of features the customers wanted that we didn't build. This is how you tell the customer that this is this. And that's not lying, that's marketing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So after that whole session was over, and these salespeople know what they're being asked to do. They're being asked to do their job as salespeople. It was not a comfortable meeting for me or for anybody. And when it's over, this guy comes up to me and says, "Look, I have a weird question for you." So, been answering questions, whatever. It can't be worse than the last 90 minutes have been. And he says, so my son reads a lot of comics, and he started reading webcomics. I said, no. I'm from the same guy. And he says, no, hear me out. And he says there's this guy named Howard Taylor who is making a webcomic. I said, yeah, I'm the same guy. No, you don't understand. He's making this science fiction webcomic called Schlock something or other Mercenary, and it's really awesome, and he loves it. And he's telling me that Howard works at a tech company. I'm like, yes. For the third time, I am the same guy.
Of course I know him. It's me.
He says I can't believe that. I said, okay, here. And I take my business card. And I take my business card and I draw a little picture of Schlock on the back of it. And I hand it to him, and before I let go of it, I say, this is for your son. It's not for you. This is for your son. You go ahead and hand that to him. And I got a glorious, radiant email from his son a couple of days later. He was thrilled that his dad did something so cool for him. I didn't have the heart to tell him what an idiot his dad was. Oh.
I had a boss. So I worked at some decent companies before I did the comic, and after I moved out here. I had to get a job because doing comics wasn't making me enough money, and I was running up a stack of debt. So I got a job at a company. I won't name it. It's a cool place. It still exists. Still a cool place. There's a lot of people who are still working there. But we had this one boss. The guy who hired me, my boss. I knew something was going wrong when he gave me an illustration to do, and I spent a week on it because it needed a week to get done. And I had done a pretty comprehensive sketch beforehand, very clear sketch. I mean, I just had to render it. It took a week. It was a city picture with a curved horizon, so the buildings were sort of fanning like this, like a
right
picture, right? And I I deliberately asked, I'm like, is it okay that we have this sort of curved horizon and this thing's going to curve and these buildings are going to point out? He's like, yeah, it's great. Finish rendering it up. So at the end of the week, I'd finished it. I'd spent a lot of time on it. It looked really nice. And I showed it to him, and he said, okay, that's great. Can you straighten out that horizon and make the buildings vertical? You can just do that in Photoshop, right? So,
would you bury the body?
Do you want me to use the warp tool, or do you want me to use the take this job and shove it tool?
Well, I couldn't do that because I was still paying off that debt, so I kind of had to suck it up. I wound up not finishing it because the thing got dropped. I think he assigned it to me just to mess with me. I think he was deliberately messing with me. It turned out later on, because in the big purge where they laid off half the company at some point, he was one of the ones that was laid off. He was sexually harassing two of my other coworkers, and it came back to me that during that period of time, he was also making threats of violence against me personally to other people at the company. I hate that kid. I'm just gonna beat the living. One of these days, I'm gonna pull him out and beat the crap out of him.
The fuck?
And clearly an unmedicated, borderline personality. The guy was messed up. He could be totally nice and he tried to. 2 weeks ago, he tried to. He sent me a LinkedIn request.
Fuck him.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. But yeah, no, he was that. That was the thing that clued me in. Okay, I think this guy's messed up.
Yeah.
And I had to suck it up and deal with it. But fortunately, then a month or two later,
I just realized it's not focusing on Jeff.
Wow.
For some reason, our channel's messed up, and I have to click on everyone, so it zooms in on you when you talk.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So yeah, that's horrible.
Do we need to raise our hands?
What?
Do I need to raise my hand so you'll click on me?
No, I was updating the site because Spike's panel is starting right now as well.
That's fine.
When I started my comic, I still had the ambulance day job, and I remember the moment I realized I couldn't do this shit the rest of my life, even though I had one job after it. Was I don't know, Howard, earlier you talked about how you had the whole you go home at night and you just can't stand it.
Yeah.
So we had a thing called regulars at the ambulance company, and regulars were people that you always had paperwork for, and they were usually drunk or strung out, or they were mentally ill people who had no homes and they're just kind of lost to society, and they called 911 all the time. And those are just losses that kind of get wasted. You accept it. And actually, a lot of cities will pay ambulance companies a certain amount of money that helps cover that. And we had this one woman who had been a regular for the company for 20 years.
Oh God.
Alcoholic. Well, and honestly, this sounds horrible, but sometimes those regulars were the only thing that made you get through the day, because a lot of them knew what they had to say to get taken to the hospital, but sometimes they would just say the goofiest shit for the fuck of doing it. Because what are you gonna do? Because I called 911. You've got to take me somewhere. My favorite was Valentine's Day. One of our regulars called. And when they got there, he was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I'm suffering from a broken heart." And they're like, "Oh, God, we gotta take you to the hospital." But this woman had actually stopped, She stopped drinking. She had developed liver disease, but like cold turkey, she actually got a home, and she was doing all this stuff. Like she did occasionally call because she did have health problems, but we usually was covered by Medicaid. It was doctor to doctor transfers. And I remember because it was February, and I was closing up my desk, and I got a phone call, and I took it, and a woman called and asked if it was the AMS company. And I was like, yes, well, I need to close up the account for patient name, social security number, and like I knew her social, like I still know some of their social numbers because I enter them so much. And they called, and I was like, okay, well, close the account. She's like, well, she passed away. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. What happened was while her landlord was on vacation, the electricity company made a mistake and shut down her electricity even though she was paid in full. And it was during a major cold snap, and her heat was all electric. She froze to death in her apartment. And this was in like the February 2003 major fuck you cold storms we're having.
Right.
I was like, this is heartbreaking. Like, this is not what you expect. You know, she was changing her life. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, ma'am, you don't me ask you, why did you call and tell me? Like, you still don't care. Direct quote, and this is when I went home and just sobbed for hours. She's like, oh, you're the closest thing to family she has. I'm done. Like, I walked over to my boss and said, I wrote up my resignation on the back of this ambulance slip. I can't come back. I'm gone.
Wow.
Yep. At that point, like, I've got to find a way to make a living some other way because this is not going to work. Because it's either going to end with me drinking a lot more or just stripping naked and tying angry cats to myself and being the worst, domestic terrorist ever, just running up, hugging people with angry cats tied to my body. Until someone just...
No, you did that in...
Well, you gotta get attention somehow.
That was during your convention PR experimentation phase.
Yes. Come get an angry cat hug from Randy.
Yes. Those were the days, gentlemen.
Question.
Those were the days.
Question for you. Bringing it back on topic, sort of. What are the pieces of the jobs you had before that you are actually thankful for and that you use now?
You go first, Jeff.
I took so much crap from clients and weird people that dealing with folks in the game business is actually really easy, except for a very few of them. I don't know. The thing that I use for doing comics and for doing art is all the life experience, and I've seen a million things and I've been in a bunch of places, and I spent 9 years driving around the New York tri-state area, so it's like buried in my brain. I actually used that. I worked on, this is A, dating myself, and B, I'm claiming victory on something that was really crap when it was finished. But there was a Sopranos video game, and it was set in New Jersey, and it was the Sopranos is set in the area where I grew up in New Jersey. So I used that. I took my childhood from New Jersey and put it into the video game. I worked real hard on that. I did a lot of good concept work. The game turned out to be crap, but that's not my fault.
You can only do so much.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a collaborative creation. But yeah, that's really kind of it. I don't, I don't take so much of the rock and roll thing and apply it to the drawing. It's just, I can compare horrible people and horrible situations to the places where I am now and be very thankful that I'm not there.
Isn't that always nice?
You've taken some gratitude away.
Yeah, sure. It's made me a lot more, patient and sort of forgiving of life in general. And the Zoloft helps too.
For me, since I did a lot of early web work, because my first real adult job was in '95, I guess, and working for the university, and I was basically taking old documents from the '80s and '70s and putting them on the web. So just that. Also, this is going to sound horrible. Working for a nonprofit and working with a lot of academics, and then also working in marketing, taught me how to deal with very petty, angry people who just have tantrums.
Yep.
It's great for conventions. I'm not gonna lie. But also just in general, having to sometimes get really infuriated emails of people just blowing shit out of proportion, and knowing I then couldn't respond the way I wanted to. There have been a few times, for me, it's kind of a crapshoot. Some days I'm like, you're not worth it. I'll tell you why, because I can't get fired.
Right.
But there have been a few times when people have sent me those really petty, angry emails, where instead of just kind of making fun of them, I'm like, okay, I can calm myself down. Let's address this issue. What's going on here? It is almost always something unrelated to the comic. They just need to blurt out. And usually after that, I almost always get an apology, yeah, I'm just having a hard time of it. This thing happened. Oh, okay, cool. So that actually really did help. What about you, Howard?
The 4 years I spent doing the product management stuff, the high level stuff for the for Nobel, I learned what marketing really is and how to apply it honestly. You don't. Marketing doesn't require dishonesty. It's at its core, it's an understanding of how people make decisions and how products are designed. The ability to know the difference between inbound and outbound marketing has made making a living as a cartoonist possible. For example, the challenge coins. Challenge coin was never something that I didn't know what it was, and once I knew what it was, I didn't really understand why people would want to buy it. But I knew that just because I don't understand that doesn't mean it's not true, and I should dig a little deeper. And I dug a little deeper and discovered, what was really going on and what the decision points were. And then I kind of fell in love with them myself because I understood a piece that I wouldn't have even looked for. And that happens to me a lot with merchandise. Oh, and with the Patreon. I gave a presentation to a class. It's an entrepreneurial class at the local. Well, they're not a community college anymore. Small state university, Utah Valley University. I say small. I think they've got 40,000 students now. Yeah, just a little thing. Really crowded, small campus. Anyway, I gave this lecture to an entrepreneurial class, talking to them about Kickstarter, and none of them could wrap their heads around the fact that people would spend money on a Kickstarter when there was no promise of the actual product. They weren't shopping for a thing. Well, are these angel investors? Are these, use whatever word you want to, and they would keep asking the same question. Yes, but why would somebody spend money on that? And the answer to the question is, you are asking the wrong question. The right question is, who will spend money on that? Where do they live? How do I reach those people? How do I communicate with those people effectively so that I can get them to spend money on that kind of thing when I'm building it? Because sometimes you just can't, understand that mindset. And I know that seems horribly mercenary, but the comic strip is called Schlock Mercenary. Which of those two words makes you think that I won't embrace this?
That is, for me, when I started doing this, one of the hardest things to learn was just because I don't want it doesn't mean that other people don't. And conversely, just because I want it doesn't mean other people are going to buy it.
It's that second one that kills you.
Oh God, I have some things that are just sitting around and they'll never go away. Yep. What time? How much time we got? We have 14 more minutes.
You have 14 more minutes.
Questions on the web that you want us to answer?
I have to bail out of here in just a bit.
All right, bye, Jeff. Well, whenever you leave. I haven't seen any real questions. I guess where people just want to watch old pudgy white men talk, because who doesn't? It's such a rare thing to see.
I'm sitting here watching myself in the screen, realizing I have resting grumpy old man face.
Oh, welcome to my world. That was a great thing where I live. I actually live in a neighborhood where kids really do trick or treat, and it's wonderful. But this face when the door flies open and there's just light behind it. Hi, what are you supposed to be? A lot of kids holding on to moms. No costume, just me. My beard was longer. I had neck beard and cheek. And I just, my hair, I hadn't dried my hair. So, my receding hairline is oh, are you Elsa? Do you eat Elsas? Oh, here's one. Amanda Hill asks us, what was your F this noise, I'm going to do what I want moment? I think we kind of covered that, though, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so we answered that one. Here we go. Both Rob Landley and Evil Count Eurodite actually posted. I'm going to reblog this from the retweet this from the ComfyCon account. They found the link to the article that you were talking about, I think.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
Yeah, Rob and Evil Count Eurodite. It's called Heart Mind Code.
Yes, Heart Mind Code is Dave's blog. So
right.
that's
If it lets me reblog it, it's for some reason, or retweet it. For some reason, Twitter is laughing at my pain. Come on, retweet, motherfucker. Oh, here you are. It's my computer's just having a bad day.
Dave?
Here we go.
Sorry, Dave. Randy?
Yep.
That's not how you get people to retweet things.
What? Come on, motherfucker?
Exactly.
I don't know. It's worked for me. So, hey, my entire reader donor drive started with, so shut the fuck up.
All right, guys, I'm going to play myself out. So,
bye, Jeff.
See you later. There's a reason why that's the hardest song in Rock Band.
I bet.
Guitar Hero.
Oh, okay. We have two questions now. One from Kate DeBell. What sort of items do you have that will never go away? For me, it's a couple of shirt designs that just everyone wanted them, and I had the money to pre-order them without doing pre-sales, and I should have done pre-sales anyway to see how few people really wanted them. Because it's one of those, they said they wanted it, but as Steve Jackson once told me, customers lie.
Yeah, there's some poster prints that I did that I thought were awesome, but me thinking I've drawn a cool picture is not the same as other people wanting to pay money for that picture as a great big print on their wall.
Yes, that is a hard one.
I still have boxes of these.
So you should buy them. His store is linked, I believe. No, it's not. It's not linked. I don't know your store. You didn't tell me how to link to your store, so send me that link and I'll link up the vendor page.
I don't have a store right now. These are not for sale anywhere.
But give him money through Patreon.
Thank you.
John,
see you later.
Later, man.
Bye.
John Kovalik asks us.
John.
When you guys quit your jobs, did you find it as life affirming as I did? I mean, quitting was so damn fun. again, since I got to basically tell my brand new boss, I don't give a shit if you send my job to India because I'm leaving, but I'm leaving 3 months before you're ready for me to leave. Yeah, that was pretty pleasant. And it was great that my two coworkers did the same thing, because one had acting gigs lined up in Hollywood. She had a small part in a movie, and she actually does stuff on Jimmy Kimmel. And the other coworker had been putting off going to grad school at MIT, and MIT really wanted him. So he's like, I guess I'll be an adult. I'm like, that's the problem to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have a job, so I haven't told anybody to take the job and shove it. So, see you guys later.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye.
How about you, Howard?
I think the hardest part, I mean, she asked for life affirming. The hardest part was sitting down with my 4 kids and explaining to them that we were not going to be buying the fancy, dinosaur chicken nuggets anymore as food, because we can't, I can't afford to drop $20 on a box of, one dinner, half of which gets thrown away. And the kids were very sad that some of the things that we were used to eating were just going to go away. And Sandra and I had to spend more time in the kitchen preparing foods out of ingredients, which amazingly saves enormous amounts of money. But life affirming, I don't know. I that moment when Hawk Lady told me I looked happier, and I realized that, I mean, I knew I was happier, but I didn't want to admit I was happier, because admitting that I was happier meant that the last 11 years at Novell had been unhappy, and I wasn't ready to say that yet. I'm ready to say that now.
There's a video from Alan Moore. He was being interviewed by a young man at a convention, and it's a very sweet interview, which you don't expect from Alan Moore. And he was talking about going professional. And it's really kind of a great piece, because he talks about how, the first so many years of writing comics, he had a day job, and he just got to that point where he could kind of, he could do it. He could do it. And he took the plunge, he quit his job. His wife got pregnant. And he's like, we can't really support this. This is not a good situation. And his old job found out about it, and they weren't trying to be mean or anything. They said, hey, look, we know your situation. If you want to come back, the job is waiting for you. We totally get it. And he considered it, but he actually refused because, as he put it, he wanted to show his daughter his child the importance of taking risks and doing this, because he grew up with a father who had this horrible day job, and that's all he would ever have, and that's all expected of him. And there is something really nice about that when you take that risk of you know what, if I fail, it's my failure. But if I succeed, I don't have someone in upper management who's going to grab it and go, thank you, I will show this to the investors that I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, when I guess I'd been on my own for 4 or 5 months, and one of my friends, Richard Bliss, who I speak highly of all the time. He taught me all kinds of things about marketing when I was still at Novell. Richard said, Howard, your name, your face, you still have cachet here at Novell with our customers. I have a meeting. Richard ran one of the companies that partnered with Novell, providing some products that worked with theirs. And Richard said, I've got a meeting, and the new group-wise product manager is going to be there, and what I'd like is for you to just come and sit at the table with me, because that carries all kinds of value. And you wouldn't even have to say anything. And I realized that as attractive. Oh, and he was offering money. He was offering a couple of $1,000s for me to just do this to help close the deal. And I realized that the moment I said yes to that, I was, the old Middle Eastern proverb about letting the camel put its nose inside the tent because it's cold outside, and 3 nights later you have the whole camel in your tent. Yeah, That's what the nose of the camel looks like, is going to that meeting and trying to capitalize on what I used to be that I don't want to be anymore. And so I said no to that, and I think it was about a couple of months later, I was at a Novell Tech show as a dancing monkey. I was drawing pictures at the show. I wasn't there as the product manager. I was there as a cartoonist, and that's okay. Somebody came up to me at the show and said, "Oh my gosh, it's Howard Taylor, and you're not surrounded by people asking questions. Can I ask a question?" And I said, "Sure, but before you do, I've spent the last 6 months aggressively forgetting everything that would be useful to you. So go ahead and ask."
It's going to be comedy.
Okay. So my SMTP gateway, I don't even know what that is anymore. Sorry.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and that was a fun moment. I mean, he and I were fine. It was, I apologize. I'm sorry, I can't help you, but I really can't. I don't know, the technology moves fast, and I don't know the answer anymore. It's good to be gone.
We have 2 questions. We probably should close up soon so you can do your work. Aaron Michael wants to know, what mainstream comic would you want to do an issue for? There's not really any comic that exists for me. I mean, there are comic strips I wouldn't mind taking over, and there are characters I would love to write, like Detective Chimp for DC, but they're never going to do a Detective Chimp comic book. Ever. Again. Ever. Ever. Or it's like, anything comedy I'd be fine with, but that's about it. But you, Howard, if there's anything that you'd want to...
Existing characters with existing writers. I would love to write for Deadpool, because the whole breaking the fourth wall comedy action stuff is right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's probably the top of the list. Although that's not something that, honestly, Deadpool isn't something that I read much anymore, which completely, disqualifies me from being able to write it. Yeah.
For me, it's all characters that don't really get, like, I would love to write Plastic Man. I still think Marvel and DC should do a Plastic Man Deadpool crossover, because that would be insane. Or like Disney Comics. I grew up in Disney Comics, and actually that's who I wanted to write for until I found out they don't make Disney Comics in America anymore. They really haven't for a long, long time. Farm Girl on Twitter asks, who's the person you miss interacting with least from your day job? Middle management. It was always middle management. It was always that person.
Management.
For me, it was that person who, and it wasn't because I hated this person, it was because I knew that they were as miserable as I was, and they were just sent to send me the bad news all the time, and it broke my heart to see that they're the human shield for the asshole who deserves my rage.
Yeah. Probably the customers who I had to lie to. Not because I didn't like them. I mean, I did like them, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so glad I don't need to interact with them anymore, because, and when I say lie, it was the little white lie. They are asking for a thing, and I would say, that sounds interesting. Yes, that's totally a thing that, the product could be made to do. Let me take that back to engineering, and, we'll get that into the product requirements document. That is all true. What I'm not saying is that's going to go in the product requirements document, and I'm immediately going to put it in the gray-colored cells as low-priority stuff because it's not going to get done this time. I hated having to do that, and I had to do it a lot.
I also hated from the Amos company having to call people when their state's Medicaid wouldn't cover something. And it was usually the state was trying to find a reason to not cover it, because a lot of people I dealt with the Medicaid, it wasn't usually like, there were like car wrecks or whatever, but there were also like, I I found out at my job I had coworkers who were, before I got into work, coming in early to make sure I got all of the cases involving child violence and sexual violence because they couldn't handle them. So I would have days of nothing but rape calls that I had to handle, process, and calling a victim to tell them, I'm very sorry. I know this is a horrible time, unfortunately. And I would find reasons to not do it. I would go out of my way. That was pretty much the most demoralizing thing. I did find out that my boss was taking those trips quietly after I was done, and some of them, which you could, in sending anonymous letters explaining the law on paying medical bills. I.e., you don't have to pay this. So it was very much like that scene in The Incredibles. All of your clients seem to know every loophole. But and that made it a little easier, but it was still like I didn't have to call very often. Usually I was not involved in that process, but yeah, like I didn't do the whole so I would never do bullying because that was not my job. It was just I called them to inform them, hey, this happened. But even that is a lot to do. I'm very sorry your child was murdered. Unfortunately, Medicaid does not want to cover this. I still have nightmares about that job. That is... bringing the panel down.
I got nothing to top it. Also, I can't save the conversation. Nice work there, Randy.
I do what I can. I'm glad.
Is there another question?
Huh?
Was there another question, or was that the last of it?
I think that might. Let me double check Choo Choo Bear because I got a couple questions there, but some of the ones seem like we wanted to get answered. Basically, let's see. Farm Girl replied, "I would have smothered those coworkers and used condoms." Okay, that is angry. That is a biohazard. You should not probably do that.
So impractical.
Yeah. That's a lot of work. I mean, you got to really fill those. I guess you can use them for other things, though, like, gloves to clean out toilets. Aaron Michael says thank you. So I think that might be a good spot for us to end so you can go back to doing your job, because you have a lot of calendars to ship out, sir.
Oh, this is what I've gotten done while we've talked.
Oh, nice.
So, not bad.
No, good.
Not bad.
Howard, thank you for joining us for ComfyCon this year. We appreciate it. And guys, please.
Thank you for having me. This is an amazing thing. This is an amazing thing you put together. You're awesome.
I'm glad you. Well, Daniel deserves.
This is an amazing thing that you put together. You're awesome.
I think my camera's fucking up for some reason. If you guys get a chance, please look at Howard's comic at schlockmercenary.com. And if you get a chance to look at Joseph Gale's comic with Bill Barnes, it's Not Invented, HE, RE. And I do something positive net. Also, if you get a chance, go to the ComfyCon vendor page and support the artists who are giving the time. We really appreciate you guys spending your part of your Saturday with us. And this will be archived, so if you want to watch it again, feel free. Thanks, everybody. And